Merry Christmas everybody, and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. Over the last couple weeks, I've been updating you guys extensively, talking about the total market cap and how a breakout in this is going to signal a lot of new profit coming back into the altcoin market. So far, that's exactly what we've seen. Many altcoins are breaking out today and have been breaking out this week. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about why I think we're going to see such a big shift and more momentum coming into the market very soon. I have 5 altcoins to share with you guys today that I think are going to be providing some pretty decent gains over the next month or two. These haven't taken off quite as much, and I think that they have a lot more upside coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are jumping into today's video, and I wanted to quickly talk a little bit about what we're seeing inside of Bitcoin, continuing to stick to the same sort of analysis. All we're doing once again is consolidating right below this range high. Nothing has really changed here. All we're doing is consolidating inside of the same kind of triangle formation that we've been in this entire time over the last couple updates. Now as it stands, I don't really care one way or another what way it goes. We're either going to see a pretty big breakout on the range high before we make our leg up, or I would expect to see us ending up falling to this mid-range right here. That's where we're going to end up deciding whether we're going to go up or down. You know, a rejection at the mid-range I think would take us all the way back down to the range low. However, any sort of reaction on this mid-range, initially I'm going to be thinking that we'll probably end up going for continuation. Big picture, I think we're still going to see continuation regardless of what correction this takes, and that's what I'm mainly going to be looking at from here. Inside of these consolidation periods where Bitcoin ranges, a lot of altcoins are going to start running, and that's what we've kind of seen so far. As Bitcoin is ranging, altcoins are starting to take off. Some of that momentum that's been suppressed is being lifted off, and that's why we're seeing a lot more profit rolling in. Now when we're looking at this on a bigger picture, even though we're consolidating right here, we're still below our main target being 48,500. And the more I look at the market, the more I think that we have the potential of running up even higher than 48,500, potentially coming all the way up to about 52,000. What we're seeing in the market, total market cap's just barely broken out. Total altcoin market cap's just barely broken out. Total DeFi market cap's just barely broken out. And even though we're seeing this big move inside of Bitcoin, it's looking like a lot of that final profit is going to be coming in this final leg up. And that's what we have historically seen. It's always at the very end tail pump where we see the majority of that altcoin profit kind of come in. And I won't be surprised to see the same thing happen here as Bitcoin makes this final leg up. Overall, guys, I still think that the main target's 48,500. Even if we peak above, once we start hitting those levels, we 100% have to be aware that a correction is coming, and we're most likely going to end up coming back down and retesting this main trend line that we've been on ever since we started this new bull run. So if we are doing something like that, you guys don't want to get stuck, you know, inside of this correction. You want to be much more prepared buying that sort of dip just on the retest of that trend line, because big picture, we're still going to be looking at this thing going into a new all-time high, you know, and doing something along the lines of this. Sometime 2024, 2025, we'll be going into a new all-time high, but I don't think we're instantly going to get there right now. We should expect to see some type of corrective move coming in soon. So if you did kind of miss out on initially buying into this, don't be too worried about it, because it's always better to be patient. It's always better to be patient because you generally get a better opportunity to get back in the market, because I always see corrections. Anytime we have these big moves, we're going to see a correction on the way down. With all the talk of the ETF, don't be surprised if that acts as a sell the news type of event before we get a correction that ensues. Now let's talk about the 5 altcoins I think are going to be popping off, giving us some great gains and explaining why I think that they're going to be popping off in such a big way. So first one on today's video, we're going to be looking at Sushi Swap. Now Sushi Swap is one that most people are not even considering anymore because of the fact it's pretty much just, you know, had such a nasty bear market, but a lot of the swapping platforms did. Uniswap's starting to break out. We're starting to see Sushi Swap doing the exact same thing, but the big reason I like Sushi is because look at all this volume that came in here on this breakout. And if we come down and look at this breakout, this is going to be one of my most profitable setups I've personally ever been able to find in the market. This, I haven't personally seen this setup play out and since all the way back in 2017. I used to see this exact pattern happen all the time, and I used to trade it for a lot of profit. And I don't know why I haven't seen it in so long, but it's cool that it's actually playing out once again. Now this is an ascending triangle, and I have made a lot of money trading this specific setup, how it looks right here. where you get the first breakout of a new cycle and it starts consolidating in this ascending triangle, and then it's right before we get this massive breakout to the upside. And that's what I really think is about to be coming for Sushi Swap. So I'm currently in some low leverage longs. We posted those inside of my Discord server. I still think it's a good opportunity for low leverage longs, but like I said, guys, if you ever use low leverage longs, always use low leverage. You basically never want to even have a liquidation price, and then it's even better to set a stop loss on top of that, just to 100% guarantee that if we had a flash crash or something crazy like that, you're 100% going to get stopped out and you're going to be okay. As of right now, a low leverage long for me, I've taken them without stop losses. I've been able to take like a 2x to a 3x leverage long. Like I said, I long Chainlink and Cardano at the beginning of that last cycle, made $50 and over $100,000 combined on the two of them. And when we're comparing what we're seeing today, I've pretty much taken the same trades. The only difference is I just think that I'm going to make more money this time around, considering I know more about what I'm doing this time around. So when we're looking at this, the fact that we had this big breakout in volume, this is the first higher high, because all we did, we broke out and we retested this prior consolidation and we reclaimed it as new support again. And that's what we've done right here. So now that we're making an ascending support right here, this is what's about to be taking us into this next leg up. Now, our short-term target, I think the minimum target, that's like 67% from here, but I think we're going to end up going a little bit higher than that. What I'm mainly going to be looking at is like there, and then potentially running all the way back up to here at $5. So we've got about 3 targets we're looking at. We got the first one being 67%, depending on where you're looking at. We got the second one being a little bit over, about 1.2x, and then our third one's about almost 3x. So when we're looking at this, those are just short-term targets, right? Those are just some that I think could get hit in the short term, talking a month or two. But I'm still looking at this thing going into a new all-time high. And if we're looking at this thing hitting the prior all-time highs, you know, you're looking at like 17.5x returns, which is just absolutely insane. Like I said, guys, low leverage longs are super awesome because it can take a small amount of portfolio that, you know, we probably wouldn't make much on. It gives us the opportunity to maximize that with leverage, get a little bit added on top, and then we can just hold these things long term. The only risk you have is liquidation. But like I said, if you use minimal risk, I've never had any issues with it. I even held my Cardano long through COVID during that big dip. And even when it made a lower low, I didn't even have a liquidation price. So it was just like, you know, you're down a few $1,000s, but as long as you hold, you're going to be up this much. And then I made over 100 grand off that. So it's like, I think some of the best strategies we can do are look for these low leverage longs. And if you guys do want to know where I trade on decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges, I have 2 that I trade on. They're linked inside of the description if you guys do want to end up finding those. Apex Protocol is the DEX that I use. They are actually the DEX built by Bybit, and Bybit was the exchange I was trading on before they kicked me off. And so now I'm using Apex Protocol. They don't have quite as many coins, but they have really good liquidity, and that's kind of my main thing. You got to have good liquidity if you're trading these altcoins, and they have great liquidity to be able to trade from. So I trade on Apex for DEXs, and then I trade on MEXC. So both of those are going to be linked in the description. Now, when we're looking at this, guys, like I talked about, this thing is about to be breaking out and making a big move. And if we come to the prior all-time highs, you're looking at a 17x. And so I think it's smart to take short-term profits on this way up if you take the trade. However, if you're looking at potentially holding long-term, keep a position you hold long-term. The only risk is, like I said, liquidation or the lending fees adding up too much. So you got to be aware of those. Just make sure you're tracking the lending fees, making sure that you're not just losing all of your money and getting over leveraged just because of that one reason. I have never really had any issues with it personally. I think the most that I'm paying inside of my Apex Protocol trades is like 50 cents to $2 max, and then the $2 was only one day that I saw it at that level. So if you can stomach paying $1,000, maybe $2,000 a year on that trade, you could potentially make tens, hundreds of thousands in that same position. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's why I don't care as much. That's one of my main ones I'm watching is Sushi Swap, so be aware of this. Now, the next one is going to be Dogecoin. I love Dogecoin because it looks just like Bitcoin in that first cycle, talking about 2015 Bitcoin. It's the cycle that I actually got into crypto. I bought Bitcoin right here, and it looks just like this. We're about to see that next breakout right here. The only difference is Dogecoin spent 550 days right here, and this was 280 days for Bitcoin. So it's twice the amount of time with Dogecoin. I believe that we're going to see twice the size of a breakout in return. If we look at this on a log scale to give us targets, our entire bottom range is this huge consolidation right here. This is our entire bottom consolidation. So if we break out of our bottom, our next target takes us all the way back up to 35 cents, being all the way up here. So when we take it off a log scale, it's going to look way crazier. That would give us a target all the way back up to 35 cents, and we're currently only, worth sub 10 cents. So as it stands, this thing does have a decent amount of upside potential, almost a 3x from right here. And this is one that I've personally been buying low leverage longs in. I posted these inside of my group. I've been holding this for a long time because, ultimately these are the perfect type of low leverage long setups. Now, be aware, I bought this all the way back down in here during the initial part of this run, so I've been holding it for a little while. We're already in profit, but I don't necessarily think that it's a bad time to buy. The only thing you have to be aware of is if we see a correction in Bitcoin, this would probably do the same thing. So if we saw a lower low, you don't want to be over leveraged because then you could get liquidated. If you use minimal leverage, even inside of short-term corrections, they don't matter. You might be on a short-term loss for a little bit. But when we're talking about big picture targets of 35 cents, I don't give a crap about if it pulls back 10 or 20% in the short time frames. I'm looking at 300% gains. I don't care about any of the shorter term stuff. As long as I'm not over leveraged, it doesn't matter what the short term does. All that matters is what I'm looking at targeting for my profit taking. So when I'm looking at Dogecoin, I'm going to take some profits at these levels, but I'm mainly going to be keeping a position that I hold the entire cycle because I'm curious to see how much I can make on it. Is it worth it to do that? Is it worth it to pay all the lending fees and see what it turns into long term? I think it is because I've personally done it already off 2 different positions. So it's like, okay, well, let's jump into Dogecoin and see the same thing. You don't get more obvious market cycle setups than this. It just looks so beautiful in my eyes. And that's why I do firmly believe that with all of the hype around Elon Musk, it's inevitable that he's going to end up sending one of these stupid things to the moon. They've been talking about that. It's inevitable that he's going to make it the payments. It's inevitable that he makes it the payment system of Twitter or X. I think that all of these things are going to be coming. And so, big picture, you want to be prepared and have the position beforehand, before that news comes out, because that's how you actually make the money. So this is one of my favorite low leverage longs right there, paired with Sushi Swap. Now, getting into some of these other markets, the next one I wanted to talk about is GMX. Now, I'm not in a leverage position with this. It's just one that I hold spot, but it is one of my biggest investments going into this next cycle. What we're looking at here is an inverse head and shoulder formation, and the target of this gives us a target of the prior all-time high. So if we're looking at a breakout of this neckline, it's going to give us a target all the way up to about 90 bucks. So if we get up here, breakout of this neckline being about 53 bucks, I think we're going to send it all the way back up to those prior all-time highs. Even if we see some type of correction after that, I still think that big picture, this thing is about to be going into a brand new all-time high. Something like this is almost to be expected as we run to these prior highs. I think people will end up taking profits. I don't think it's just going to instantly run into a new all-time high. It's possible, but I think that this is a little bit more likely. GMX is one of my favorites because when we're talking about what can make us the most profit long term, I don't think you can get any better than the DEX narrative, because we had all of the centralized exchanges, all of the lenders, all of these different people making funny business and crashing the markets, doing manipulation, and ultimately costing people a lot of money in the process. So we saw all of this happen. There is a massive amount of people that absolutely despise centralized exchanges now because they lost all their money. So they flocked to decentralized means. Now, GMX is really one of the first true DEXs that we're seeing inside of the perpetuals that is taking off, getting a lot of volume. And the way that this thing works is every transaction is the fees inside of the all of the fees inside of the network actually go back to the token holders. So it's a way to revenue share that, in my opinion, is really why these things are going to be so valuable. GMX earns a significant amount of fees, way more fees than DYDX does, and DYDX has like 4 times the market cap. So when we're looking and comparing the two, we're looking at something that has significantly lower market cap, it's earning way more profit than the others, and gives it back to the token holders. I think it's just an ultimately all-around good investment, and that's why it's been one of my big things moving forward this cycle. I firmly believe that these DEXs are going to blow up, and this is the premier DEX on Arbitrum. I think that this one's about to see significant upside from here, and what we're looking at here is really the first true parabolic rise that we've had to begin this cycle, because all this is a wave 1, all this is a wave 1. What comes next is this wave 3, and I believe that wave 3 is going to be taking us to a few $100s next. It could get very impulsive, and I think that that's what happens long term, which is why I've made it one of my biggest investments. I think that this one's going to have an absolutely monumental cycle, and that's why I'm perfectly positioned for that thesis. So watch out for GMX. Now, the next one on today's video is going to be Hamachi Finance. This is one that we talked about all the way back at this first cycle here. I told you guys to take profits on this first run up at about 3x. And then I told you guys to take profits over here when we were up well over 10x. And it ended up having a absolutely massive correction. I've personally held everything I've had because I got in at the pre-sale. So I've just been holding. I made like $20,000 worth of rewards just for holding the tokens. So for me, it's like, I've more than paid for my initial investment. I'm fine with just holding the tokens. As it stands, we've got good volume coming in. We've made our first higher high, and it's looking like we're about to start making another leg up. The difference is this has $1.2 million in total market cap. So basically, the upside potential is pretty massive. If we just come to these short-term targets, I think that we could be looking at a pretty decent type of return. So looking at these, I got a few different targets. From right now, we'd be looking at about 2x, 4.5x, and about an 8x return if we just hit these three targets. If we go all the way to the prior all-time high, you'd be looking at a 30x. So I mean, 30x is pretty insane. I don't know if it's going to do that, but the cool thing about Hami is you don't even have to stake it. All you have to do is just hold the token, and then you're going to get paid rewards. And these rewards are paid out in tokens that are some of the top projects in Arbitrum. So I've got paid out $20,000 worth of these reward tokens, and a lot of these were some of the tokens I was already investing in anyways. And then a lot of them have gone up in value since the time that I actually got the reward. So it's ultimately just a great project, and their ultimate goal is to bridge off into new chains. And every time they make a new token on a chain, everybody that holds Hami is going to get an airdrop token. So the value proposition is just massive. With a low cap, I don't think it gets any better than this. I do think it's got good upside potential, and we already made good money on the run if you took profits. And so I think we're about to be going for round 2 very soon. So watch out for Hami. I'll link it in the description, and I'll link it in the description so you guys can actually find it and not get scammed by some scam exchange. Now the last one on today's video is going to be Teddy Bear. If you're looking for the biggest meme coin on Pulse Chain, that is what this is, and I think it's going to end up doing very well long term. Now, I've been a believer that Pulse Chain is going to do well, mainly because Hex did so well in the last cycle. It hit like $100 billion in total market cap, so I don't see why Pulse Chain can't do at least half of that. And if Pulse Chain does half that or the same, I think that we'd be looking at this anywhere from 500 million to about $1 billion in total market cap. It's already got the first mover advantage. It's already got all of the community interest in it, and that's why I think it's already got that head start that's going to propel it into massive adoption. So when we're talking about what's going to be the premier meme coin on Pulse Chain, you're looking at Teddy Bear right here, and that's what I think is going to be playing out long term. As of right now, we just made this big breakout. We broke descending resistance. We're currently flipping the mid-range as support. Great volume on this breakout, and I think we're about to see continuation from here into a new all-time high. At $12 million total market cap, you're looking at a lot of meme coins that are already so overvalued that it's better off just not even getting into them, and then it's always hard to know what ones to get into in the first place. I firmly believe that this is going to be one that is good to get into, specifically the very best one on Pulse Chain. And so I wanted to give you guys a good one that you could actually look to hold long term, one that has minimal risk. I mean, all of these are going to be risky, especially Hamachi. I think that both of these two are going to have, obvious risk involved, but the upside potential with these are massive. You'd just be looking at upside potential strictly for price discovery off Teddy Bear. But with Hamachi, you'd be looking at price discovery, but then you're also going to be earning rewards, and then you're also going to be potentially getting airdrop tokens as well. So there's more reasons to be bullish on it than just the token price, and that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. Low market cap coins are fun, but I wanted to give you guys two that I think could actually do well, not ones that just have insane risk that are just going to crash and go to nothing. These are two that I think are going to be good long term. And then I also talked a little bit about Sushi, why this is one of my favorite setups, one of my favorite chart patterns I've ever been able to trade, and why I do think that this one's getting ready for a leg up. Same thing with Dogecoin. Both of these are low leverage longs that me and my group are currently in. If you guys do want to be able to follow any of those trades, links are in the description to be able to sign up on my website to join my VIP group. Or if you guys do want to go ahead and take these trades anyways, low leverage longs, low leverage always. Do not freaking be crazy with it, because I can guarantee you're going to lose all your money. I cannot stress that enough, guys. Leverage is not for the average person. Leverage is going to cost most people money. It's going to wreck most people's portfolio. I cannot stress that. I cannot emphasize that enough. And that's why I say you have to do due diligence. You have to use proper risk management. Otherwise, you're just going to lose money. So no more than 3x ever. You never should have a liquidation price, because if you do, that means you're too over leveraged inside of the position, and you really should be setting a stop loss on top of that just to protect yourself long term. These are some that I think are going to be good long term, some that you don't necessarily have to have a stop loss with, but at least if you do, you can protect yourself and guarantee that you're not going to get wrecked. That's just my thoughts and my opinions. I didn't set a stop loss on two of my biggest positions in the last cycle that were low leverage longs, and I never had any issues, even inside of corrections where I was down 50%. It was just because I was just very minimally leveraged, and it was just something that I could hold long term. The only thing you got to worry about is the lending fees, so just be aware of those. Be tracking them on the exchange. Make sure sure that you're not just getting liquidated because of something silly like that. And if you do follow them, I'll link it in the description, the 2 exchanges that I personally trade on. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you guys for the support of this year, this channel. I really love each and every one of you. The fact that anybody watches this channel, you know, whether the people inside of my Discord server, whether it's the paid, whether it's the free, whether it's the people on Twitter, anybody that reaches out, asks me questions, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so thankful for the ability for me to just make these videos and help inform anybody as much as I possibly can. You know, the fact that you guys support the channel enough for me to make these videos and make content truly means the world to me, because I cannot imagine myself doing anything different. I love investing, I love trading, I love crypto, and it's just the perfect thing to be doing for myself. You know, I dropped out of high school to pursue this full time, and you know, the more that I've done that, the more happy it makes me. And at the end of the day, it's all because of you guys that I have that. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. I love you. Merry Christmas. Have a great week with your families. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.